before we begin and dive into the content, let us introduce ourselves. Some of you already know us. Actually, most of you already know us. But for the benefit of the rest, my name is Shefali Jambal. I'm a product marketing manager here at Signalwire. I come to Signalwire with over 10 years of marketing experience in various tech companies all across the globe. I started my career at Bank of America, moved on to doing more impactful work in several startups, including my own. I'm an MBA grad from Emory University here in Atlanta. And today I am super excited to share with you a really cool feature that Signalwire has and I absolutely love. I will now let my colleague Abby introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Abby Minasali. I'm also a product marketing manager here at Signalwire. I have been with the company for a long time. I used to work with FreeSwitch, the open source project, and I now work with Signalwire since its inception, so almost 3 years now. And I am also the head of our hackathon at our conference, ClueCon. It's called the Coder Games, and I've been doing that for a few years as well. And I'm so excited about this product, and I can't wait to show all of you about all of our great layouts that we have today.
Yep. All right. With that, let's get into the agenda for today. So we'll spend a couple of minutes talking about Livewire and its benefit and why we think you should attend them. After that, we will dive straight into the dynamic video layouts, how to use them, and a demonstration of all the layouts that we have. All right, so what is Livewire? It's a monthly series by Signalwire where we will talk about in-depth workings of Signalwire work and events features and show you how to best use them. We will also be sharing some tips and tricks with you so you can know how to use that platform at the back of your hand. How it works is each month we will focus on 2 to 3 features, and this is where the survey comes in really handy. If there are any features that you would love to know more about, do let us know in the survey form in the chat section. So we will be covering how to use these features and the benefits. We will also be answering any questions that you might have regarding those features. Like I mentioned before, our aim is to provide you with the information that is valuable to you. So Signalwire work and events are great tools to increase your productivity and interact with your team and others better. By attending Livewire twice a month, you'll be able to use the features with much more ease and concentrate on the stuff that really matters, which is being connected. With that, let's dive in. So I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but so what are video layouts and why are they important? The Signalwire offers several layouts that can be used during meetings or events to emphasize the content. It is how basically your screen looks when you're presenting. Like right now, there are 3 guests highlighted. So these are all the video layouts, and Signalwire has a bunch of them. Let's say you have an interview, with a prospect. Obviously, you would want to have a different setup than if you were having a roundtable discussion with your team. For example, an all hands might be more structured than a karaoke session with your peers. With all the different video layouts, you will be able to create that same effect, but virtually. And why is that important? Well, they allow you to be more effective and focus on the content that really matters. If you want to focus on the presenters and the slides, like right now, you can do that. Second, they help you keep your meeting engaging and interactive. You can bring the audience on the screen, off the screen. You can interact with the content as per your needs. And lastly, they help you break the monotony of a meeting. We all know we're going through this virtual fatigue. So by changing the layout strategically, it frankly keeps things exciting, as you will hopefully see today. Yes, with that, I will pass on to Abby to tell you one really, big plus of these video layouts and Signalwire.
Yes, one of these big pluses that we have here at Signalwire that you may not be used to if you're new here, um, every layout that you see is what everyone else sees as well. So not only does that mean when Shefali changes the layout, we're all going to see the layout changed as well. It also means that our video panels, which is what we call our squares of video, are going to be in the same order for everybody. So Shefali is here right on my left over here. We have our screen up here, and once we're back in Grid Social at the end during our Q&A session, the order of the video is what you're going to, everyone sees the same order. That's really important because it helps increase our collaboration. And like Shefali mentioned, that online fatigue, it really helps battle that because we're all seeing the same thing just like we would in real life. And it really helps your collaboration. It helps you have that face-to-face conversation. So again, just, great power, great responsibility. When you change a layout, it changes for everybody. So please refrain from changing any of the layouts until the end of the presentation, where we'll give everyone a chance to play around. So now I'm going to demonstrate to you just exactly how to change the layouts. The very first thing you'll need to keep in mind is make sure that you are a moderator. I have gone during this intro and made all of you temporary moderators in this room. All that means is when you exit the room and come back, you will no longer be a moderator. So in your own spaces, make sure that you are logged in with a moderator username and password. Your administrators will know how to do that. And the next thing we're going to want to do when we're changing our layouts is to look towards the bottom of the screen. There are these 3 dots that say more. We're going to click on that, and that is where all of our moderator controls live. We're going to go to the video layout tab. It has its own tab. That's how special of a topic this is. And we're going to look for the canvas layout drop-down menu. Once we click on that drop-down menu, you can see that we have 16 different options. So that gives you a lot of control on how your event or your meeting will look. You can change it mid-meeting. Each layout is specifically designed for specific use cases, but we will get into that in a little bit. Another thing that we're going to need to keep in mind is the concept of a role. So a role just determines where your video panel is going to show up within a specific layout. Roles can look different depending on what layout we're using. It might look like guest 1. It might look like guest 2. It might look like main content. Those are the ones we're going to see the most often, but Shefali and I will get more into that in a little bit. But in order to change these layout roles, we're going to go to the participant menu. If you were here at our last Livewire, you will remember the participant menu, but if not, go back and watch that Livewire. So once we click on the participant menu in the top right corner, you'll see a list of participants. There's 3 of us in here right now. Each participant has a drop-down menu right next to their name. And as you can see, there's another menu called Layout Role. So the layout I'm in right now only offers a full screen role. And as you can see, it made our Shefali tile full screen. I can say none and it will have no role, but as I change the layouts to different layouts, you'll see that the roles available to you become more specific. We have that guest 1 that I mentioned earlier, that guest 2, we have a special guest, and we'll explain to you what all of that means in just a second here as Shefali demos some of our layouts for you.
Thank you so much, Abby. All right, let's get into the demo of all these layouts. There are a bunch of layouts to go through, so we will be a little quick. The first layout we will be seeing is full screen. Well, very self-explanatory, but full screen is when you want to focus all your attention on one content. It could be either a video or a speaker. So I am going to demonstrate that. Under video layout, I am going to choose full screen as the layout in Canvas layout. So now all of you should be seeing a full screen with right now the content of the slide. On the bottom, you will be seeing a video of yourself that is just local, so nobody else can see that. Everybody sees just the full screen and their own video. Well, I could change the role. I could make somebody else the main focus. Here, I am making myself the main focus. So you will see me. This is always awkward because I'm so big on everyone's screen, but very self-explanatory. This is what video layout is. It can be used for presentations, if there are any teaching sessions, any speeches where there's only a speaker who needs to be online. All right. Next, let's move to the other one. The next layout is grid and grid social. So these layouts are mostly used for team meetings, group discussions, any sales or external calls, or anything where you need all the participants to be together and roles are not that important. So this is basically a very social sort of layout. The difference between grid and grid social, as you can see, grid kind of occupies the entire screen, regardless of whether there are 2 people or 20 people, whereas grid social has an allocated space for each participant panel and doesn't take up the entire screen. I am now going to demonstrate that. I'm going into my video layout. I'm going to change the canvas layout to grid, and you will now be able to see everyone. So this is grid. Like I said, it takes everyone. If there were only 2 people in here, those 2 people would be big and covering the entire screen. Grid social would pretty much look the same right now because there are so many people. I've changed it to grid social. It's right now not showing any difference because there are so many participants. But if there are fewer participants, grid social takes up the entire screen, and grid social doesn't, and grid does. It's really a preference thing. I prefer grid. Grid social is not my scene, but you can find out what yours is. All right, moving on. I will be talking about a few layouts. All of them would be about highlighting speakers. Now, it could be highlighting 1 speaker, highlighting 2 speakers, highlighting 3 speakers, or highlighting 4 speakers. Obviously, it explains what it is. It would be highlighting those many number of speakers. Some of these layouts comes with special guest 1 and special guest 2. For all these layouts, special guest 1 and special guest 2 could be your host or facilitator or coordinator, or even your brand logo, sponsor logo, anything that you want in a specific place. You can assign that graphic or that person a special guest 1 or special guest 2 role. Some of these layouts come with audience, and some of these layouts do not come with audience. So we will be talking about all of those. And all of those can be, it can be used for anything. It can be a town hall, it can be some presentation, TED talk, comedy show, an interview, a panel discussion. It could be used for anything. And I'm just quickly going to show you all the highlight speakers here first, and then I will be demoing it. So this is highlight speaker 1, where you can see there is 1 guest and 2 special guests with audience. There is highlight 2 speakers. Highlight 2 speakers. Of course, like as it says, you can highlight 2 speakers in here. You can see highlight 2 speakers. So there will be guest 1 and guest 2 as the 2 speakers. You can either have special guest 1 or special guest 2 as host or facilitator, like we had discussed before, or it can just be those 2 speakers aligned vertically. You can have those same highlight 2 speakers, but this time with audience. You can have audience present if you want to see the audience reaction. If you're having like a Q&A session, which we will later, and we probably will be using this format. Again, also has special guest 1 and special guest 2, which can be your hosts or facilitators. The difference between audience and square audience, between these two, is with square audience, you can actually fill more people, more audience in the space, because it restricts the size of the panel size. So you can actually fit in more people. Hopefully, we will be able to see it in just a bit. Moving on, we have 3 speakers. Again, same thing. You have guest 1, guest 2, guest 3. There are just 2 ways you can align them. My personal favorite, vertical. I will show you why it just looks really cool. This can be used for interviews, podcasts, webinars, anything where there are 3 speakers. Similar to audience, highlight 2 speakers, highlight 3 speakers can be used with audience and with audience square. Same concept if you want to have those 3 speakers, but with audience present there. And no guesses for finding out what the next one would be. It'll be highlight 4 speakers. So you have guest 1, guest 2, guest 3, guest 4. Again, could be interviews, podcast, webinar, panel discussion, anywhere where you have 4 speakers. There's another one on the right, which is highlight 4 speakers plus host. In this, there would be one host, a little tiny one on the left side of your screen, where that person can help facilitate the conversation. Okay, that was a lot of talking. Let me demonstrate these for you. I am now going to select highlight 1 speaker audience. This is highlight 1 speaker audience. I am going to make myself guest 1. So you can see I am guest 1, and you should also be able to see it in the participant list in your screen. I'm guest 1. I'm going to make Abby special guest 1, so she appears here as well. So you can see Abby is on the screen on the right next to me, and my screen is blank. Not sure what happened, but yes, I am guest 1. My screen is guest 1, and Abby is special guest 1. So there are roles where Abby is. You can actually have company logo or anything, or a host or a facilitator. Moving on to highlight 2 speakers. Highlight 2 speakers is when you have 2 speakers, Abby and myself, and I am now randomly going to choose people from the audience. No pressure, not trying to put you on spot. It is what it is. Things happen. So there you go. So now there are 2 speakers and 2 special guests. Hey. So we could be 2 speakers, and the special guest 1 and special guest 2 could be the host or the facilitators. I am now going down the list, highlight 2 speakers with audience. When I do that, you will see that the roles did not change. I am still guest 1, Abby is still guest 2, and we have our 2 special guests, except now all the audience are present. So this is great for a Q&A session, or where you want to have the speakers, but you also want to see audience reaction. Going down the list, and this is where I told you that all the participant panels will be in a square, so we are saving some space. Hopefully it fits more people. There you go. As you can see, now we are actually fitting more people. If there were more people in the room, you would have seen that there were more people visible right now. But I hope you can see that how they're fitting more people in one row. That's because all the videos have been cropped into a square. Going down the list, I will now highlight 2 speakers vertical. This is 2 speakers vertical, just a preference thing. You can have the one that we had before, where Abby and I were side by side, or now we are up and down. So it's just a preference thing. I will now be moving on to highlight 3 speakers. With highlight 3 speakers, you have to assign roles guest 1, which is me, guest 2, which is Abby, and guest 3, which is Benjamin. Also randomly assigning it, but yes, so we have different roles we can assign here as well. Again, hey Benjamin. Okay, now we're going to move to highlight 3 speakers audience. And this would obviously be the 3 of us with audience present, like we had for the highlight 2 speakers. So there you go. There are 3 of us on top. And guess what? We have the same special guest what we had before. So this is 3 audience, highlight 3 speakers with audience, and we have our special guests who can be the hosts and coordinators. Again, moving on to highlight 3 speakers, square audience. What is it going to do? It's going to reduce the size of the participant panel so we can see more people on the screen. Let's check it out. There you go. So if there were more people, we would have seen many more people on the screen now because the panel size is smaller. I am now moving to highlight 3 speakers vertical. This is my favorite one ever because you can see the 3 of us, and it's very cool. It looks like we're in an actual podcast or an interview. So I love this one. This is my personal favorite. But yeah, moving on to highlight 4 speakers. There are 4 roles in here: guest 1, guest 2, guest 3, guest 4. Well, Len is guest 4 now because he was special guest 1. He got automatically converted, but you can change it. You can choose anyone and give them the role of guest 4 and all guest 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can also have the same folks with 4 guests, 4 speakers, and a host. I am going to assign guest 3, and I am very randomly doing this right now, and guest 4. So as you can see, we have 4 guests and a host, which is me in this case, would be like a small person towards the end. So those were the 4, not 4, but technically highlight 1, 2, 3, 4 speakers and different ways that you can do them with audience, without audience, with different special guests, which could be logos or coordinators. And there are lots of ways that you can play around to make the meeting or event more interactive. I will now hand it over to Abby to tell us about the rest of the features, the rest of the layouts.
Great. All right, so we have a few more layouts to get through. I'm going to talk about each one a little bit and then demonstrate it because these ones are a little bit more unique than the highlighting the speakers. My personal favorite layout that we have here at SignalWire is karaoke and karaoke with audience. This is a lot of fun. Not only is this a layout, but it also syncs the audio between the performer, which is that special guest at the top, and the media that you are playing. As you can see, we have those same special guest roles. We have a special guest 1 and a special guest 2 in the audience, as well as a performer role and a media role. So I will demonstrate this a little bit, but nobody judge my karaoke skills, okay? So we're going to go to video layouts. We're going to select karaoke with audience. And then I'm going to select myself as the performer role, which as you can see, I'm now up at the top. And this one's a little bit unique because I'm going to go into those media controls that we talked about during our last Livewire and play a URL. It's going to take a second to load. And as you can see, there's now a media playing right next to me, which is going to sync up my audio directly with this video. And I picked a song with a lot of talking at the beginning so I can show you how it syncs up. So let's see. Maybe he's right. Maybe there is something the matter with me. I just don't see how a world that makes such wonderful things could be bad. Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Okay, and if you want the full performance, then you're going to have to host a karaoke party here on SignalWire and invite me. So I'll be looking forward to that. But that's my favorite layout here. Our next layout would be, I think we have to... Okay, our next layout here is our round table. So our round table is going to focus 1 through 8 guests with a center focus in the middle. This is to highlight a main speaker or share some content in the center. For example, board meetings, sharing slides or videos where you only want 8 people visible. A table read, for example, if we're practicing for a performance or a presentation, a board meeting, etc. And for this round table, we're going to have 8 special guest roles. I will demonstrate our special guest roles. Okay, and then I'm going to be selecting some of you randomly, just like Shafali was. So we've got a guest 2, make cat, guest 4, got a guest 3, center focus. So usually we make that center focus a piece of content, but today gets to be Chelsea. 7, make Len 8, and we'll make Ronnie guest 1. So then, right where Chelsea is, imagine we have, we're at a board meeting and we all want to review a slideshow or a piece of video or or something like that, you can see this is a way to really control the way that our grid looks. It's reminiscent of our grid's social layout, but way more controlled, and you get 8 special guests. Now, more than 8 people, just like any other layout, are allowed to be in this room, but only the 8 that you choose are going to be visible. All right. Next up, we have screen share, which is always a popular one. We have a few different ways to do our screen share layouts. The first one is going to have the screen full as a full screen, and then our presenter is automatically going to be added to the top right. You are allowed to move the presenter role to any of the 4 corners. You could move them small to the left, small to the bottom, small to the right. And if you wanted, you could even have 4 people up here presenting at one time, 1 in each corner. That's going to be the guest 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively, just like the other layouts that we talked about. And of course, screen sharing is great for sharing videos, presentations. You can share your audio through a screen as well. So this is a great option for any time you want to work collaboratively on a project. But let's say you don't want to work collaboratively and you want to give a presentation. You can do that as well by split screening. It's called screen share split horizontal, where the 2 roles are your screen and guest 1. So this is great for presentations where you don't want to see the audience, maybe something a little bit more formal, where you don't want the audience to be visible. So I'll demonstrate that. And as you can see, there's 4 of us in the corner here, and I'll actually make our shared screen the shared screen. There we go. It just takes a second to load. So as you can see, we have our screen share in the middle, and if I want, I can one by one remove all of you. We can make you small, we can make you big. As you can see, Fred is now top left. I can make him big top left. I can also make him none. So I'm gonna slowly remove all of you until we have none of you left, except for Sherelle here at the top. And Kat is still here. Okay, hold on. There we go. And we'll make our screen. Oh, that's Shafali is now our shared screen. Or we can make our shared screen the shared screen. We can also do a screen share split horizontal, where I'll make myself guest 1. And here I'm giving a presentation that is a little bit more intimate because I'm sharing the stage equally with my screen so I don't get upstaged. Of course, like any of these layouts, it's just a matter of preference. There's a lot for you to choose. So I'm excited to play around at the end of this so you guys can test all of these for yourself. All right. We're almost done here. We have stage with audience is our next layout. Stage with audience is great for when you have a presentation that you want to be a little bit more intimate, maybe a TED Talk, a question and answer session with a special guest. The guest is going to be centered in the middle, large, with the audience surrounding them. You can also choose special guest roles. As you can see, we have our special guest 1 and our special guest 2. If you have hosts, for example, who need to be up at the top. So this is a great way. Anytime you wish that you had a stage in real life, that's a great time to use this layout because it's like putting a special guest up on the stage right there up in the middle. And I'm going to explain of all of these stage with audiences at once because we also, if we switch to the next slide, we also have stage 2 with audience. As you can see, it's very similar. The middle area being that designated stage area where your video panels are enlarged. And then we have our special guests right in the corner, ready to ask any questions. It's very interactive. And we can also add stage 3 audience with a content panel as well, which will be that screen share use case that we talked about earlier. Maybe you want to play some media, any kind of content. A screen share media is going to share that stage with you. This will take up some of the audience space, but it will be playing in the middle. So I'll show you guys all of these before I show you our last one. So we have stage audience. And as you can see, I'm in the stage. You can get that stage concept. I'm here in the middle, I'm bigger. You can tell that the attention is supposed to be on me. You could also, if you wanted, put a screen share into this position as well, but we often use it for performances, Q&A sessions, presentations, things like that. We have stage 2 audience. I'll make Shafali guest 2. And as you can see, she's sharing this stage with me. We're equal size, equal attention with our audience here on the sides. We also have our special guest roles in the corner. I'll move Mike. I'll put you as special guest 1. And for all of you, you can see that he's now in the top left corner. Again, highlighting the fact that we are all seeing the same order of video panels. So you have a lot of control here with the way that our video layouts look, which is great for presentations, meetings, and events. And here we have our stage 3 with audience, and we'll make our screen share the content. So as you can see, we can fit a little bit less audience, but we still have 16 people visible in the audience, which is pretty good, and we can shuffle those as well. I'll show you that after the Q&A session if you have any questions about that. But you can see we have our content here at the bottom. All right, and then our last layouts I have to show you right now are our watch party layouts, which are actually some of my favorites. Think of it like a movie theater, our own personal screening room. This is great for when we want to highlight content. Any media or content is going to be shown in the middle. For watch party, it will the video layouts, the video panels that we are in are going to be a little bit larger, and it's going to fit a little bit less people. In watch party large, that main content role is going to be larger, and all of our video panels will be a little bit smaller so we can actually fit more people. And just like all the other layouts we looked at, we do have some special guest roles for this as well, for any presentation needs, anytime you want someone to be the main focus and sharing the stage with our watch party. So I'll demonstrate this now. This is one of my favorites. So I'll go to watch party, and then, hi guys. I'm going to play a video in here.
What up, though? It's your boy Big Snoop D-O double G, and I'm here to tell you about Original Geeks.
So as you can see, our main content is taking up this big
space. Get back to work in ways that don't suck. You know what I'm talking about? That video-based, office, browser-based. Made me
and
USA.
As you can see, we can fit more
video
people in this watch party large.
Video and HD audio. Karaoke, up to 100 people on screen.
Great. So those are all of the layouts that I have to show you. So I'm going to throw it back to Shafali.
Thank you so much, Abby. Those were a lot of layouts, but I think I'm glad we got through them, and I hope you guys would feel more comfortable now using them and in your daily life, because really after I started using them, meetings have just become more interesting, and there are a lot of variations, so it's actually not boring at all, regardless of the content of the meeting. I'm looking at the chat section right now, but everyone feel free to speak up if you have any other questions. And yep, Abby, I'll let you take the first one.
Great. Yeah, we have a raise hand feature at the bottom, same area where you can mute and unmute. So feel free to raise your hand if you have a question, and I'll make sure to call on you. But I have a great question here from Alana. Would the speakers be able to see the raised hands, or only if they are also a moderator? So this is kind of a double answer here. So anyone can see the raised hands, even if you're not a moderator. So if I'm up here speaking and someone raises their hand, I will be able to see it. That being said, we have another question where it says, in a view that's full screen, but you can, oh wait, actually, okay, sorry. So the double-edged sword here is that if you're in a view where you can't see all of the audience members and somebody raises their hand, there is actually a way to see if that person has raised their hand or not. So since we're all temporary moderators in here, let's all go to our participant menu. And you can see there's a little drop-down menu right at the top that says group by. If you click the checkbox that says hands raised, Anyone who has a raised hand is actually going to show up in this box. Now, this is only if you can only see this menu if you're a moderator. You can see Len and Cassie both have their hands raised in that menu. But this is great if you're moderating an event, for an example, and not everyone is visible like they would be in a meeting. And you can see exactly who has their hands raised. So this is a moderator only feature, but anybody can see the green box when the hand is raised. Let's see. We also have, okay, when in a view that's full screen, but you can see your own video in the bottom right corner, how do you remove that for everyone? Only you are able to see that video of yourself, and you have to remove it manually yourself. That video is there just so that it reminds you that you're on camera, and if the video layout gets changed. So for example, if we're in full screen with the presentation and then we switch to group grid, you're going to be on camera. So that little square is there to remind you of that, but you can turn it off for yourself if it's distracting. So if that's important for your event, just let everybody know that that's optional, but only you can see that video of yourself. How often do you recommend setting the auto shuffle for the audience? I mentioned the auto shuffle a little bit. I'll explain that for those of you who don't know. As we were playing around with the layouts, I'm sure you noticed that there's only so much space in some of these layouts. And while we can have hundreds of people's videos on display, it gets a little pointless the smaller and smaller you get. So let's say that only 50 some people can be seen in the audience and you have 200 people in attendance. There's actually a setting where you can shuffle the video panels in the audience so that everybody gets a chance to be seen. And personally, I recommend a shorter amount of time, like every 2 minutes or in every 5 minutes. So it's enough to remind you that there's a lot of people there, but not so often that it's distracting. If we choose every 30 minutes, we might forget that we're looping through, and it might make us feel like there's only so many people in the audience. But the shorter times kind of really emphasize the fact that we have a lot of people in the audience. Of course, it depends on your use case. A concert, for example, I'd say, every minute, every 30 seconds, we could see everyone rocking out. But a formal presentation might be more every 10 minutes or so. If you pressed raise hand now, yes, okay. When we use the auto shuffle, not sure if it worked. If guests did not have their camera. Okay, so I see a question that says, when we used the auto shuffle, not sure it worked if guests did not have their camera on. This was originally by design. When we're having a big event, it can be a bit of a bummer if everybody has their video mute screens on. So it's actually by design that we have certain settings where only people with their video cameras can be seen, just to make the event look and feel a little bit more alive and more lively. So that auto shuffle is automatically going to be shuffling people who have their videos on. But if that's a problem for your event, please reach out to our support team, and we can work on having it shuffle all the videos all together. But that is by design. Do we have any other questions?
I don't see any other questions. If you guys have any other questions, you can just speak up or put it in the chat section.
Yeah, there's a lot of layouts. I definitely recommend playing around. You can stay in this room as long as you guys want, even after the event is over, just to play around. And thank you for not, switching the layouts up on us. I appreciate that.
We were really scared about that, so really appreciate that, guys. But this is your chance. If you want to play around with the video layouts, canvas layout, feel free to change them. You can use assign different roles to people. Nobody will be judging you, and it's not like us that everything had to go smooth. So feel free to change the layouts, and we do encourage you to be using them regularly, because after a while you're going to get so good at them, and they are really, really effective, as hopefully it was apparent in today's Livewire.
Okay, sounds good.
I had a quick question for you guys, actually.
Great.
When you're demoing video layouts to potential clients and stuff, how do you guys typically do that without having to sign in like 8 times into a room? Like sometimes what I'll have to do is I'll sign in the same video 8 times just to properly show them the video layouts. Do you guys have like a demo room that you have with like fake video feeds, or is there an easy way that you guys demo video layouts?
You know what? I think we might. Let me reach out to you after this. Just let me reach out to some other members of our team. I think we might, but I'm not sure on that.
Okay.
I personally usually just call in like 8 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, right? So
Or I'll ask some coworkers. I'll be like, "Can you just hang out in this room for a little bit? You don't have
yeah.
to do anything." That's a great question. Oh, we have a question here about surveys and polls. We
Yep.
don't
And
have.
while Abby is checking with the colleague how to do that, oops,
Oh no.
somebody's playing around with the moderator rights and muting and unmuting me. Rude, guys. No, just kidding. But there is a video layout guide that I just added to the chat. I know it's not really a demo, but feel free to use it while Abby checks how to do that.
Oh,
Perfect.
yeah,
Thank you.
and I'll send you an email. And then we also have so we have a question about surveys. We don't have a built-in poll feature in our chat right now, but we do integrate with other programs. So if you have a Google form or a poll, you can put the link to that in this chat. You can also do emojis in the chat, and you can do Giphies in the chat. So anything with the link will work in the chat. But it's not currently built in.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Are there any other questions for us? Anybody else wants to play around? All right. I guess if not, we would like to announce the winner for the $50 gift card. We did not forget. Alana, we would like to present the gift card to you. You should be hearing from us. We will be sending you an email with the gift card. All right. If nobody has anything else, oh, you're welcome. If nobody has anything else, I think that's it for Livewire. Please stay tuned. We do have another Livewire in 2 weeks, and that will be talking about the virtual fatigue that we were talking about and how to build a culture while on single wire using this platform. So stay tuned, and thank you so much everyone for attending.